We welcome you to Blues Game Day Live alongside Joe Vitale. I am Darren Pang, and happy days are here, my friend. Team's rolling. Obviously, you were there on Sunday afternoon against the Nashville Predators. Let's put a quick recap on winning those two games, especially coming off a successful road trip where there could have easily been a letdown on home ice on Saturday. There wasn't, and then they continued their fine play Sunday in Nashville.
Well, you know, the Blues are doing such a good job, Darren, on the road against East Coast teams, and now to come back in the Central, 4 big points over the weekend, and in the fashion, I think, of how they won those games, a couple things for me really stand out. I'd like to get your thoughts on it, but the first thing was we haven't really seen the Blues play a rough and tough kind of game, and the Nashville Predators wanted that style of game. It started on Saturday, and the Blues responded very well. To me, that shows a lot of veterans, a lot of guys that are tough throughout this lineup. And to me, it's a playoff game, playoff atmosphere. And when you talk about a Blues team that can play that style, that's all looking pretty good for the playoffs. And, you know, the other thing, too, I don't know what you saw, but this team's ability to respond in adversity, getting down in the goal. I think there was Roman Josi had that wraparound goal on Sunday. Tarasenko goes right back down and scores. But something about this team, they're growing together, aren't they?
They're definitely a resilient team right now. And I think the best way to describe them, Joe, is they're bending but not breaking in the course of a hockey game. And I think that has to do with confidence. I think when Craig Berube took over this team, he said, we've got to instill confidence with this club. And now I get the sense that when you have a team that's full of confidence, now he can knock them down a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, now when he needs a little bit more from them, and I bet that they come back with even more details in this game against New Jersey because he can push them harder now. Maybe when he first took over, he couldn't push them that hard because he was sensitive to the fact that they didn't have confidence. And you've been there before, and I've been there before, and sometimes you need some propping, and then you need some padding, and then you need a kick in the groin,
then a hug.
And then you need a hug. You definitely need a hug, and we know early in the year the team needed a hug every once in a while. So I think that now he's got a team that's molded the way he wants his team to play, and let's start with a couple of guys as we look at it. You need goaltending, and certainly Jordan Binnington, well documented, has given the Blues that. For the second time this year in his brief NHL career, he's an NHL Star of the Week, but this time he beat out Patrice Bergeron, and he's the #1 star of the week, going 3-0 with a minuscule goals against average. He gets a break, and Jake comes in and wins the hot game. He'll go again tonight against New Jersey. How impressed have you been with Jordan?
Oh, my gosh. And what more can you say about the kid? He's looked so poised on the ice, obviously. You know, I'm most impressed with Jordan is just his composure off the ice. You know, he is a rookie, yes, but he's a seasoned rookie. He spent a lot of time in the American Hockey League, which I know you and I both have talked about how we really think that's just does amazing things for the development of a kid. And I think you see him on the plane, just see him in the locker room, and a quiet kid, but he's looked very in control of his emotions. He's very in control on the ice. And I had a laugh the other day after he had that victory here at home. I asked him on the radio, I said, "Jordan, are you having fun?" And he just goes, "Yep." Just very simple. He doesn't talk a lot.
My teammates, when I played, would have loved it if I talked that little. I had to get a 15-second rule to shut up, a 1-minute rule to shut up. Like, and there he is, the ideal guy. He and Jake aren't really big talkers, so it's a really unique and I think a special relationship because they're. I mean, Carter Hutton would. He could talk your ear off.
I know,
like I could. And,
but you love the business-like
approach.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? Yes,
Even Keel.
You know, he's here to do a job. He's here to win hockey games.
Not too high, not too low.
Not too high, not too low. And he's been doing it. It's been pretty impressive.
You played with Marc-Andre Fleury. Not quite like
the
Flower.
Oh my God! If there's Darren Pang, Marc-Andre Fleury is just underneath them. So.
Well, good for him. The other guy that's rolling right now. So we talk a little bit about Jordan. And before we get to Vladdy Tarasenko, I don't think we've talked an awful lot about Jay Bouwmeester, Colton Parayko, as a shutdown duo. Everything about their game that I mean, you preach about it. When you're in the back end and you're a goaltender, you're looking at the backside of a player, and I would always yell, close gaps, get up the ice, and then you can come back with them. Their gap closure has been absolutely outstanding. And when people, maybe you don't understand exactly what that is, but if you back in too far, you're allowing too much of a gap. The team's going to take advantage of that speed. If you gap up nicely, you're basically a stick length away from the forward that's coming at you. More times than not, both of them poke checks that have resulted in a neutral zone turnover for the Blues in a good way, and then a counter.
Yes.
And I've been so impressed with the way that they've played together. That has been a dynamic duo.
It has. I mean, challenging at the blue lines, that was the term when we both were playing. You want to challenge the blue lines. When the team is coming into your defensive zone, you want to have good sticks. You want to deny the middle of the ice, and Jay and Colton do it maybe better than anyone, I think, on this team.
Well, their sticks are 45 feet long
and
together.
There's the reach. I mean, the reach, the length, and the intelligence, too. I mean, Jay Bomeister, he's been around quite a long time. It's the recognition in those moments when they're coming over your blue line that you have back support. And the Blues forwards have done a great job of that back pressure coming through the middle of the ice. When you know you have help, when you know you have support, you can be a little bit more aggressive on that blue line.
Well, last week, the player of the week for me was Vince Dunn. And his confidence, his gap closure, his decisions in the D zone now. I mean, I think he's learning to live to fight another day, which is hard for a young defenseman.
It really is. But no, he's been terrific. I look back at that goal he scored a couple games ago when he fouled up. It was at home here. He shoots it after Robert Thomas pulls up. You know, how many players, Darren, I mean, would just circle off, or especially defensemen, you're not going to the net. You're gonna stop and you get back to your defensive responsibilities. It looks like he was going to drift off, but instead he had the nose to get to the net and find that juicy rebound. I mean, that was a big-time play.
I think he noticed that Robert Bortuzzo was 5 feet from him, and they were both heading for the same place.
Maybe. Robert's a hard player to miss.
Yeah, he is. And I saw Robert kind of go, whoa.
Yeah.
29's in front of me now.
I know.
I better go. Vladdy Tarasenko.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, beginning of the year, a lot of the players, they weren't in sync. They didn't look like they were on the same page. Now we're seeing a player that it looks like his gas tank is full. He's got energy. He's got jump. We all know, and we've talked about Vladdy so much over the last half dozen years, what a difference maker he is. And maybe that wasn't happening earlier in the year, but boy, that second effort and the composure he has with the puck right now, and the fun he's having with O'Reilly and Shen. I mean, it reeks of confidence right
reeks.
now.
It really, I like that word reeks. I'm going to use that tonight. That's a great word.
You got it, bud.
You know, a few
Don't
games.
spell it.
A few games ago, we were in Columbus, and I think he was a Corpusalo who was in net, and Vladdy I think it was Seth Jones was working on him. He reaches behind, one hand on his stick. I mean, it was a working goal. You have to get in those dirty areas. I think for a while there at the beginning of the year, Vladdy it was a lot of perimeter stuff, and Craig Berube's been harping on him. You got to get to the net. You got to get to the net. You got to get those dirty goals. And this is when Vladdy was starting to heat up. But I saw that Columbus goal, and I kind of thought out there, like, wow, here's a player that's really starting to get to these dirty areas, and he's an elite scorer. It's a pretty exciting thing, and he's continuing to build that momentum. And I felt it in, man, your vocabulary today.
Pretty good. I was reading the book last night.
But no, he's on the edge. People are on the edge of seats. They're looking around. The oohs and the ahs are starting. He is a player now, to me, can individually grab a game. We saw it in Nashville, and he's back.
Back for sure. There's no question about that. They got a couple of players on New Jersey that we should pay attention to. Obviously, Taylor Hall, Nico Hischier. They've got a couple of guys from the back end that can jump into the ice. It's a team that, although they're not a team having great success right now, they're a team that did it last year, and they can come up and bite you at any particular point.
Well, I think this is an important game for the Blues tonight because, it's the ultimate trap game, right? The Blues are playing very well. They won some big games. You're back at home, and you're playing against a team that's struggling.
And not a rival.
And it's not a rival.
Yeah.
So, Darren, as you know, these are the games that the Blues really have to get focused. And the New Jersey Devils, they're out of a playoff spot. It doesn't look like they're going to make a playoff push. And these are the teams that, to me, as a player, I remember.
In the mid-'90s, I covered a couple of bean pots back for the second time in their history. They did it in the late '80s, and now they've done it again. Northeastern, I don't know if you know the hockey club, but the guy on my right was the captain for 2 years and an assistant.
It's the one school out of the 4 Boston schools that isn't as prestigious, I think, and they've won back-to-back. I talked to Jim Madigan a little bit this morning. Mad Dog, he's the head coach. He's excited. I believe it was Caden Primo's, who is Keith Primo's son.
That's right.
I think
Montreal Canadiens draft pick.
7th round draft pick, exactly right.
Last goal he picked.
He stole the game last night.
He's good. He's really good. He played for the USA team for the World Junior Championship and was rock solid in goal. So congratulations to you, buddy, and Northeastern. I know you proudly carry around that leather binder with all your hocky notes.
That's right.
I've noticed that as you come over, I know Chris was liking Tootsies that night, but he brought his A game in the afternoon. But fantastic work, and I enjoyed listening to that, certainly on the radio side. Tonight, it's a 6:30 pregame show on KMOX, that 50,000-watt blowtorch. Curbs and Joey will have the call, and enjoy the day, everybody.